Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take stacks of info, find the key nuggets, and hopefully help you feel, well, pretty well informed. Today we're doing a deep dive into something a lot of us deal with, maybe without even thinking much about it. Those encounters with dogs. You know, when you're jogging, delivering something, or just walking past a yard. That split second where you think, okay, is that dog friendly? Is it coming towards me? It can be, well, unnerving. So our mission today is really to give you a shortcut to understanding this stuff. We've got some surprising facts, some really actionable insights we'll guide you through the practical side and the legal side too. And to help us unpack all this, we've looked at advice from experts, a professional dog trainer, and a licensed attorney. So get ready for some critical knowledge on avoiding risky spots and what to do if, something happens. Okay, so let's start with the why. Why do dogs sometimes, go after people, chase them?
Yeah, that's really foundational, isn't it, understanding the behavior? And often it boils down to something called predatory drift. Dogs are inherently driven by motion. A moving target can just instinctively trigger that chase response. So, a jogger running past their yard, or maybe a delivery person moving quickly, it can flip that switch. They see it less like a person, more like an intruder, or maybe something to herd. It's usually not about malice, not really. It's more that deep instinct reacting to movement.
That distinction, malice versus instinct, that feels really important. So it's instinctual. Does that mean even a dog that seems super friendly, well-trained, it could still do this if triggered?
Exactly. Yes.
And what does that fundamentally change about how you should approach any dog you don't know?
It means you just can't assume friendliness based on breed or how they look from afar, Understanding predatory drift, it shifts how we think. It's less about judging the dog and more about managing the interaction. The real key is trying not to trigger that chase instinct in the first place.
That's a huge insight. Okay, so for you, listening right now, the everyday walker, the jogger, what are the top practical tips? How do you avoid provoking those instincts?
Right. The top advice we gathered is pretty consistent. First, if you see a dog in a yard, even fenced, maybe especially if the fence looks low, don't run past. Slow down. Walk calmly.
Right. Walk, don't run. Got it.
Yeah. Also, avoid direct eye contact with dogs you don't know. For them, it can feel like a challenge, not, a friendly hello. Keep your arms relaxed, sort of close to your body. Don't flail or scream, that just amps things up. And if a dog does approach you, the best thing usually is stand completely still, no sudden moves, and say no, go home.
Calmly.
But firmly.
Stand still. Firm voice.
Exactly. And look, for people who feel maybe more vulnerable, carrying something like a dog deterrent spray or maybe a high-pitched whistle is an option. But these are really last resorts, only if you absolutely have to for safety.
Those are super practical. That eye contact thing is subtle but makes sense. But what about folks whose job means they have to approach properties? Delivery drivers, for example, they can't always change their route.
Yeah, that's a different challenge. And for them, it's really about being proactive. Always announce yourself before you walk onto someone's property.
Like how?
A clear knock, maybe call out delivery, or even just a quick tap on the car horn can alert the owner, and critically, any dogs that might be around but unseen. And we've actually seen some success with drivers carrying little treat pouches.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, tossing a biscuit or two away from you can work as a positive distraction. It redirects the dog's focus while you quickly do what you need to do.
That's smart. A proactive distraction. Okay, let's pivot a bit to something equally critical. Lots of people have maybe heard the term strict liability, but how it applies to dog bites. You can be surprising, right? What happens, legally speaking, if prevention fails and someone gets bitten?
Right. This is where the law comes in, and yeah, there's often misunderstanding here. In most U.S. states, California, Texas, Florida are good examples, dog owners are held strictly liable for bites.
Strictly liable, meaning?
It means if their dog bites you, the owner is legally responsible for your injuries. And here's the key part. Even if the dog has never been aggressive before, never bitten anyone.
Wow, really? So no one bite rule, like you sometimes hear about?
Generally, no. The law basically puts the responsibility on the owner, since they control the animal, to keep the public safe.
That completely shifts the focus, doesn't it? It's not about proving the owner knew the dog was dangerous beforehand.
Exactly. It's focused on the harm that occurred. Now, there are exceptions, of course. An owner might not be liable if, say, the person bitten was trespassing, or clearly provoking the dog, or, committing a crime like breaking in.
Okay, those exceptions make sense. So, assuming the owner is liable, what kind of damages can a victim typically claim? What are we talking about?
The damages can really add up.
Yeah.
Almost always, it includes medical bills, ER visits, stitches, follow-up appointments, often rabies shots, which aren't pleasant. If the bite stops you from working, then lost wages are claimable. And then there's compensation for pain and suffering. That covers the physical pain, obviously, but also the emotional trauma, anxiety, maybe developing a fear of dogs, that kind of thing can linger.
Right.
If there's visible scarring or disfigurement, cosmetic surgery costs can be part of the claim too. And in really bad cases, if the owner was, say, incredibly reckless or negligent, punitive damages might be awarded. Those are meant to punish the owner and discourage others.
It really sounds like the financial side can be substantial. What kind of numbers are typical for settlements in these cases?
Yeah, the costs can be significant. Even for what might seem like moderate bites, settlements often land in the range of, say, $30,000 to $100,000.
Wow.
And if a child is the victim, the figures can go considerably higher. That's because the potential for long-term physical issues and psychological trauma as well, it's just greater.
Let's make this more concrete. Can you share some real-world examples that kind of illustrate these points?
Sure. There is a case out of Los Angeles. A woman was jogging past a house with a gate, and a pit bull actually jumped the fence. Bit her pretty badly on the thigh.
Ouch.
Yeah. Her medical bills alone were over $50,000. But what really stood out in that case was evidence that the owner had gotten multiple complaints about the dog's aggression before and basically ignored them. That case settled for $112,000.
So clear negligence on the owner's part really amplified things there.
Absolutely. Here's another one. A delivery driver in Sacramento. He was walking up to a porch, and a German Shepherd just lunged, no warning, bit his forearm. Critically, there were no beware of dog signs, nothing to indicate a potential risk. That case settled out of court for $88,000. And these examples, they really highlight why you hear trainers and lawyers always saying, train your dog and secure your property. It's both sides of the coin, the dog's behavior and the environment you provide.
That connects everything perfectly. Okay, let's circle back to prevention, but specifically for you listening, the jogger, the walker. What's like a quick mental checklist you can run through before heading into an area where you might encounter dogs?
Yeah, it's really about just cultivating active awareness. So first, scan. Look for beware of dog signs, listen for barking, watch for movement behind fences or hedges.
Okay.
Scan.
Second, avoid blind corners where a dog might be lying down, out of sight. You don't want to startle each other.
Good point.
Third, keep a calm, steady pace. Don't suddenly speed up if you see a dog. Walk. Fourth, if it makes you feel more comfortable, maybe carry a whistle or even just a walking stick. Not as a weapon, but just as a visible presence. And finally, number 5, trust your gut. Seriously, if a house or a dog just feels off, gives you a bad vibe, cross the street, take another route, that little bit of intuition can prevent a lot.
Simple, actionable stuff. Love it. And flip side, for homeowners with dogs, beyond basic training, what are their key responsibilities here? For owners, it's really about responsible containment and communication. So high enough fences, strong fences, gates that actually latch securely, that's crucial. Also, displaying clear beware of dog signs is important, especially if your dog is protective. It gives people fair warning. But maybe the most important thing, never assume, oh, my dog would never. Every single dog, doesn't matter how sweet they are with family, has a threshold. An unexpected situation, a trigger you didn't anticipate. It can lead to a reaction you didn't expect. It's about managing proactively, not just reacting after something happened.
Proactive management. Okay. We've covered a lot on prevention. But let's say, despite all the best efforts, you get bitten. What's the immediate, step-by-step plan? What should you do right away?
Yeah, first thing, absolutely first. Get medical attention. Immediately. Even small bites can get infected really badly, really quickly. Don't wait.
Medical care first. Got it.
Then, once you're medically stable, report the bite. Call your local animal control or the police. You need an official record of the incident.
Okay, report it.
Next, document everything. And I mean everything. Take pictures of your injuries, photos of the dog if you can safely, the exact location, any signs or lack of signs. Get names and numbers of anyone who saw what happened. Witnesses are key.
Document.
Yes. And crucially, try to avoid negotiating directly with the dog owner yourself. Things can get emotional, complicated. This is really where insurance companies and potentially attorneys need to step in.
Right, don't try to handle it alone.
Exactly. And that leads to the final step, Call an attorney who handles these cases. It's not automatically about suing someone. It's about understanding your rights, making sure you're protected, and ensuring you get fair compensation for everything you've gone through, the medical bills, lost work, the pain.
And the cost of calling an attorney, people might worry about that, especially if they're already facing medical bills.
That's a valid concern, but thankfully, most personal injury lawyers, the ones who handle dog bite cases, work on what's called a contingency basis, meaning you don't pay anything up front, no retainer fee. They only get paid if they win your case, usually a percentage of the settlement or the court award. So it removes that financial barrier for people who've been injured.
That's really good to know. Okay, we have covered a lot of serious ground here, from dog instincts to legal liabilities. To lighten it just a touch, you must have seen some quirky dog behaviors over the years. Any memorable or funny stories about specific dog personalities?
Oh, definitely. Dogs are endlessly weird and wonderful, aren't they? I do remember this one client, a little Pomeranian, absolutely tiny dog, but would go into a complete frenzy, barking, lunging, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
But only if someone approached the house wearing a green hat.
A green hat? Seriously?
Yep, a green hat. Turned out the local postman always wore this very specific green cap. The owner literally had to start meeting the postman down the street to get the mail, just to keep the peace. It was such a specific, bizarre trigger, but it really showed how, dogs see the world through their own unique lens.
Uh-huh. Okay, mental note. Maybe avoid green hats in your Pomeranians. This has been incredibly insightful, truly an eye-opener. We've gone from understanding those deep-seated dog instincts to getting really practical tips to stay safe, and then navigating the, frankly, surprising legal side of things if an incident happens.
Yeah.
It really is about empowering you, the listener, with knowledge, making you feel safer, more confident out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay safe, everyone. And remember, respect the leash, literally and figuratively. That goes for owners and for passersby. It's a shared responsibility. And yeah, if something unfortunate does happen, please don't just brush it off. Document it, get the care you need, and understand your rights. Don't wait.
What's really sticking with me is how much our daily safety relies on just understanding these layers around us, the animal behavior, the legal rules. They're operating all the time, even if we don't see them. Hopefully this deep dive gives you a lot to think about. So maybe the next time you're out for a walk or a run, just take that extra second. Consider how your presence might look from a dog's perspective. That tiny bit of awareness, it really could make all the difference.